everybody, and welcome to the garage. Now, we've had an overwhelming response. Pete, you've seen some, and many of those names that have poured in, and I really do.
Names, yes.
A lot of new names, and it seems to be unanimous that people want us to keep on with the Facebook page from the garage, as we're doing right now, as you're looking at it. This is the Facebook page from the garage, and what Andy Martin does is to simply take the audio from this and turn that into the podcasts, which he distributes on the various popular platforms, or wherever you get your favourite podcast from. And apparently millions of people must be getting podcasts, because you wouldn't find all the radio stations jumping on that bandwagon if it wasn't something that was hot. Anyway, I'm glad I'm in there. And I'm glad I'm in the garage, even though it's freezing, Pete. Bit cool. It's true. It is true. Anyway, I hope you had a very nice weekend. Congratulations to the Matildas. A great win on Saturday night. Well done. And you put that with the Ashes. We won the Ashes from the Brits. And then there was the Netball World Championship or World Cup. We're looking pretty good, sport-wise, in Australia. But the best of luck to the Matildas for the semi-finals. I'm sure they'll do extremely well. Anyway, you've got to be in it to win it. Here in Australia, it would seem, sadly, we can do lots of things very well. But we can't even make our own toilet paper. Australia's largest toilet paper manufacturer says that it is left with little choice but to restructure the business. And the managing director says this: "It's because of the obscene gas and power prices, cost of electricity in Australia." Thank you, Prime Minister Albanese. And the ideology, of course, renewables, pursuit thereof. There goes another 70 jobs and an industry. Where is the union, I wonder? The union owns the Labor Party. Why don't you kick him in the bum? Appropriate place, considering the story, to do that. This man, he says that we're simply not competitive anymore. The head of this company, Sorbent. "We cannot produce affordable, competitively priced electricity, the ramifications of which are horrific. Sorbent is shifting its operation to Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't even afford to wipe our own bums." Another piece of financial news, I couldn't believe this one. News Corporation profits plunge 75%. Now, that's not just Australia, because they're a global organisation. But it says that they're optimistic. They say the future is full of possibilities because of artificial intelligence, which is code, I think, for getting rid of people, you know, real live flesh and blood workers. Oh, God. Rupert. I must admit, he, as I grew up, he was something of an idol of mine, and because he seemed to be able to do the impossible and do it extremely well. But I don't understand this. I mean, News Corp profits, 75% fall in profits, but they say they're optimistic about the future, and that's because of the remarkable opportunity presented because of AI. Now, if we replace people with artificial intelligence, where will we get the money, the salaries, to buy the products to keep the entire economy going? I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if everyone is sitting on a small fortune, it doesn't really matter. But most of us go to work. I think it's fair, speaking of work, I think it's fair to say that WorkSafe is a broken model. WorkCover was the same. the public, the taxpayer, has to subsidise it. I think it's to the tune of billions of dollars a year. The truth is, it's badly run. They put up the levy that all the businesses have to pay, and I think they've put it up by about 1.5%, which for some businesses is a great deal of money. It looks on the surface like they couldn't run a booze up in a brewery, yet they continue to be allowed to do it. I hear the staff, in particular the top staff, the people who run the joint, are getting hefty pay rises. Doesn't make any sense. But then again, there are so many things these days to me that just don't make any sense. Speaking of things that don't make any sense, the Australian company, now listen to this, the Australian company Construct was paid more than $300 million by the federal government to care for refugees and asylum seekers on Nauru. That's last financial year. Even though there were no refugees on the island. Well, look, to be totally precise and honest with you, there were 24. 300 million taxpayer dollars to look after 24 people in 1 year. Over 5 years, Construct was paid $1.82 billion by the Australian government, which means you and me. Now, that has to be explained by somebody. Please? Is anybody? Opposition? Media? Anyone awake? The Greens want to cap rents. You've heard about all of this, and something of a stalemate in the House of Reps at the moment. They want to cap rents. I mean, it sounds good. It sounds popular, doesn't it? Others say that it's a supply problem. Everyone agrees, however, that there is a housing crisis. 125,000 people sleeping rough on the street, in tents, in the long grass, every night. The National Cabinet meeting on Wednesday will be all about fixing the problem. And that will be interesting. It will be very interesting. Stay with the court of public opinion as we watch what they do and say. I mean, these people, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be unkind or personal, but I don't think these people are terribly bright. Yet they have the power to make life impossibly difficult for most of us. Here's another example sort of thing. We all want cheaper medicines. No one wants to see pharmacies close their doors, however, go out of business. I'm not a pharmacist and I don't use a lot of medicines. But for the life of me, I don't understand this kerfuffle over allowing people to get a prescription filled for 2 months instead of 1. The Libs say that it will put pharmacies out of business. Now, I don't get that. I'm assuming that the second month will cost the same as the first month, same medicine. All the customer is saving really is shoe leather, having to go back twice, just go there once. Income to pharmacies should be the same. The Pharmacy Guild says it'll destroy the business model, whatever that means. Look, people don't like change. I know that. I know that. The government says that this is going to help the consumer, and it sounds to me like it will. But if that is true, they should be able to nicely and quietly explain the benefits of the change to both sides of the argument. These pharmacies are small businesses. They're mom and dad businesses. I mean, yes, some of them are big chains, I know that. But I've always thought a pharmacy was a little gold mine, really. But if there are unintended consequences of these changes, let's make sure that we check it out thoroughly. The government mantra, any government mantra, should always be, do no harm. You know, I've often said to you that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and these people probably mean well, but do no harm. Mike Gallagher, I don't know if you know the name, but he's an American congressman, a Republican, I think. He's in Sydney for the Australian-American Leadership Dialogue. Fancy name for, I guess, a bit of a talk fest. Wants us to be much more involved in the defence of the region. A place to stockpile long-range missiles up north. Obviously as a deterrent to a more aggressive China. All well and good, I say. Invasion is always a possibility. And like the Aboriginals, if you can't control your borders, you will lose your country. And I'm sorry, it's very rare that somebody comes back to argue the loss. Now, like the Aboriginals, we can't defend Australia against an invasion. That's true. We can't do it alone. It's that simple. And if freedom depends on a closer relationship with our allies, terrific. And if China observes Australia as a giant American aircraft carrier, well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. That will probably keep us safe and them at home. And until future notice, God knows what's over the horizon, we can just go on being best buddies. Well, best trading buddies anyway, hopefully. Before I leave you, and I'd like to remind you once again of the live broadcast on Fridays. So we don't do a posting on Facebook on Friday. We go up to the dining room table and do 3 hours of broadcasting live, and we take phone calls. The problem last Friday, which was the shakedown day, and thank you to Anna at the Advertiser for giving us that publicity. That was very kind of you. It was a shakedown day, and it shook out some problems. One of the major ones was the telephone. We're going to get another telephone with a bigger capacity or more pixels or I don't know what. But it'll work better on Friday. I can promise you that. And I hope you join us. Some of the dates and anniversaries and things like that that we remember the day for, being the 14th of August. What do we start with? On this day in 1893, France introduces motor vehicle registration. First people to do so, including a driving test. Whew. So, Pete, now we know who to blame. God. 14th of August, 1893. Philips makes its 1 millionth radio on this day in 1932. Philips, a Dutch company, big company, Philips. In 1885, Japan their first patent ever, their first patent they issued to the inventor of rust-proof paint. Rust-proof paint. Enzo Ferrari, Italian racing driver and founder of the Scuderia Ferrari Grand Prix motor racing team and sports car manufacturer. He dies at the age of 90. Enzo Ferrari, that was in 1988. Michael Jackson buys ATV Music, including the publishing rights to most of the Beatles song catalogue, for $47.5 million. 10 years later, he sells half of his interest to Sony for $150 million. I didn't really ever like his music much, but he must have had a good business head. Australian racing driver Jack Brabham clinches his second consecutive F1 World Drivers' Championship by winning the Portuguese Grand Prix. That was in 1960. The oldest known exactly dated printed book, 14 57. The world's oldest known exactly dated printed book, circa 3 years after Gutenberg. Now, 1908, the first beauty contest was held in England. 1908. I wonder what that would have looked like, Pete.
Not much.
You're a photographer. What?
Not much skin.
Not much skin. There wouldn't be much in the beauty bathing suit department.
No, I wouldn't think so.
No, I wouldn't think so either. It was neck to knee or something, wasn't it?
I would think so.
I've seen pictures. I mean, looking academically, you understand. What else can I tell you? The oldest known, no, I've done that one. Halle Berry, American actress, X-Men, The Last Stand. I think she was in a Bond movie or two. 1966. Pete likes Halle Berry.
Yes, I do.
He does. 1945, very important day, ladies and gentlemen. VJ Day. Japan surrenders unconditionally to end World War II. Also August 15, depending on the time zone. But the only, as I said to you the other day, as they sort of wrote the document, the only condition of the unconditional surrender was that the emperor stayed put. Well, I suppose that was important because that was a certain amount of glue to keep the whole thing together. During Kublai Khan's second Mongol invasion of Japan, speaking of Japan, his invading Chinese fleet of 3,500 vessels. Can you get your mind around an armada of 3,500 vessels? Anyway, they disappeared on this day in a typhoon near Japan. Yeah. Divine intervention? I don't know what you'd call it. Good old Kublai Khan. 1958, KLM Super Constellation crashes west of Ireland, killing 99 people. My God, it was a lovely plane, though. It was a beautiful looking plane, the Super Constellation. They used to call them the Connie. Steve Martin, American comedian and banjo player, author, actor. Parenthood, The Jerk, Roxanne, Father of the Bride, Only Murders in the Building. I think that's streaming, but it's very funny, very good to watch. Anyway, he was born in Waco, Texas in 1945. So we're about the same age, Steve and I. Former fashion model and fitness guru Jane Fonda weds actor and producer Roger Vadim in Los Angeles. On this day in 1965, Susan Olsen, American actress, The Brady Bunch, Cindy, born in Santa Monica, California in 1961. Oh, a couple of others. Have we got time, Pete? A couple of others. Doc Holliday, the American dentist, gambler, and gunfighter. Bloody good shot, too. Gunfight at OK Corral, etc. He was born in Griffin, Georgia. He died in 1887, but 1851. Now, what's the 1851 for? He was born in 1851. Born in 1851, died in 1887. I think he had consumption, TB. Yeah. Celebrity hairdresser Vidal Sassoon cuts actress Mia Farrow's hair into the famous pixie cut. It cost her $5,000. Just a publicity stunt, probably. Farrow had previously cut her own hair.
I think she wasted her money then.
Yeah, I don't know why people do these crazy things. Gary Larson, I love Gary Larson, American cartoonist. He used to write The Far Side. He was born in 1950. And if you remember the day for any reason at all, I hope it'll be a very happy day for you. Happy birthday, happy wedding anniversary. We'll see you tomorrow here in the garage, in the court of public opinion, and I look forward to your company and hopefully your phone calls on Friday when we go live on jeremycordo.com. Australia's, and maybe even the world's, newest radio station. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.